term abortion. It is not abortion. It is murder. It is the murder of an innocent baby. But I'm reading from the grand jury report, so I'm going to read exactly what it says word for word. So let me start back with that paragraph about the 40,000 abortions. Some 40,000 abortions are performed across the Commonwealth each year. Abortion is normally one of the simplest and safest medical procedures, but not in Gosnell's clinic. Employing unlicensed, untrained workers in a facility that was grossly inadequate and unsanitary, his operation made a pretext of providing health care. In the absence of any regulatory oversight, Gosnell recklessly cut corners, allowed patients to choose their medication based on ability to pay, and provided abysmal care, all to maximize his profit. We estimate that Gosnell took in as much as $10,000 to $15,000 a night, mostly in cash, for a few hours of work performing abortions. And this amount does not include the money he made as one of the top OxyContin prescribers in the state. The Women's Medical Society stands as a monument to an absolute disdain for the health and safety of women, and in many cases of babies who were born alive in this filthy clinic. The deaths of women and of countless viable babies. Let me find out. Let's see. I lost my place here. Let me go back. Excuse me. Sorry about that. The deaths of women and countless viable babies were a direct and foreseeable consequence of the reckless and illegal manner in which Gosnell operated his clinic. Employees at the Women's Medical Society who testified before the grand jury were not surprised when a lethal overdose of drugs killed one of Gosnell's patients in November 2009. They had seen many close calls, at least one other patient's death caused by Gosnell's careless criminal practices. They knew that Gosnell chose unlicensed, untrained, and unsupervised workers to perform anesthesia on his abortion patients, and that the drugs in accordance with this office procedure were administered in the doctor's absence. None of Gosnell's employees were licensed or properly trained. Gosnell's staff warned him that two of his employees, Linda Williams and Sherry West, were not only unlicensed and unqualified, but sloppy and unconcerned as well. They presented an obvious danger to the clinic's patients, whom they routinely overmedicated and failed to monitor. But while Williams and West were perhaps slightly more careless than other workers, their actions were consistent with the corner-cutting practice that Gosnell had operated for decades. Every aspect of that practice reflected an utter disregard for the health and safety of his patients, a cruel lack of respect for their dignity, and an arrogant belief that he could forever get away with the careless treatment of the women who came to his clinic. The only thing Gosnell seemed to care about was the cash he raked in from his legal operation. Now, that is, by the way, part of the grand jury report. And now let's go back to the actual article from the Gospel Coalition blog. That was number 2. Number 3, these again are 9 reasons, just in case, we kind of got bogged down by looking at the grand jury report. These are 9 things you should know about the Gosnell murder trial. So number 3, women paid, now listen to this, women paid $325, now remember, before I even get to number 3, remember, up to $15,000 a night this guy took into his clinic. Listen to this. Number 3, women paid $325 for the first trimester abortions, and $1,600 to $3,000 for abortions up to 30 weeks. $1,600 to $3,000 for abortions, look, up to 30 weeks. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The clinic took in up to $15,000 a day, said authorities. Although abortions after the 24th week are illegal, Gosnell allegedly aborted and killed babies in the 6th and 7th months of pregnancy and charged more for bigger babies. Number 4. According to the grand jury, the clinic reeked of animal urine, and the furniture and blankets were stained with blood. Medical instruments found in the practice had not been properly sterilized. State officials have failed to visit or inspect his abortion clinic, listen to this, since 1993. So there was no one from the state at all going in to inspect Gosnell's clinic. There hadn't been since 1993. Now, this is what blows my mind. Why isn't the media covering this story? Why haven't they been covering this story? And yet, we're going to see that they have given far more coverage to a basketball coach's homosexual slurs than to the Gosnell trial. The man who has murdered countless, since the 1950s, countless babies. Unbelievable. Prosecutors also claim that Gosnell is not certified in either gynecology or obstetrics. Number 5. Prosecutors say that none of Gosnell's staff, including his wife, were licensed nurses or doctors, and that a 15-year-old student performed anesthesia with potentially lethal narcotics. And I read that in the, or at least part of that in the grand jury report. Number 6, a woman who worked for Gosnell testified that she was called back to a room. Now, this to me, this is probably the most disturbing testimony of all. A woman who worked for Gosnell testified that she was called back to a room at his abortion clinic in Philadelphia where the bodies of aborted babies were kept, to hear one screaming amid a shelf full of dead babies. I can't describe it, she says, the woman. It sounded like a little alien. She says the body of the child was about 18 to 24 inches long and was one of the largest babies she had seen delivered during abortion procedures at Gosnell's clinic. Yeah, and a basketball coach and his ranting and raving against his students or against his players and calling them anti-gay slurred names, that is more important than the coverage of the man who had, I can't even, man who slaughtered human beings and had their body parts put on a shelf. Yeah, that the Rutgers trial was much more important. It kind of makes your stomach hurt. Number 7. On January 31st, 1998, a then 15-year-old Robin Reed sought an abortion from Gosnell's clinic. Once she was in the clinic, though Reed, an 87-pound teenager at the time, told Gosnell she changed her mind about the abortion. Now get this. So, 15-year-old girl comes into Gosnell's clinic and was going to get an abortion, and she changed her mind before the procedure. Now, who knows why she changed her mind? She could have changed her mind because she saw the filthiness of the place. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. She changed her mind. But listen to what Gosnell did. She claims Gosnell got upset, ripped off her clothes, restrained her, and repeatedly told her, "This is the same care that I would give to my own daughter." Reed regained consciousness 12 hours later at her aunt's home, with the abortion having been completed against her will. Yeah, and so the Rutgers trial is that's more important than the Gosnell trial, isn't it? Number 8, Gosnell's arrest and trial have received, and this is where we're the theme of this show is the theme of this show is right here at number 8. Gosnell's arrest and trial have received almost no coverage by the national media. During the early part of the trial, ABC, CBS, and NBC did not cover the trial at all, yet gave 41 minutes and 26 seconds of airtime to the story of Mike Rice, the Rutgers basketball coach who was fired for verbally and physically abusing his players. And that's what we're gonna look at a story there in just a second. But let's do number 9. Number 9, the 3801 Lancaster Film Project is an ongoing documentary series about Kermit Gosnell, the Women's Medical Society, and cover-up by the state and local oversight agency. So go to YouTube and just type in 3801 Lancaster Film Project, and it gives a little warning in parentheses down here at the bottom. Warning: this video contains graphic images. So, it's really funny to me. I guess funny wouldn't be the right word, but it's really, I guess, disturbing, sickening, disgusting that our country's media would not even give this trial 30 seconds of airtime. And that's true. I'm going to read to you the statistics here of how much airtime the Gosnell trial has gotten since all this has come out. Let me read an article that was put out by MRC, the Culture and Media Institute. And the article was written by Matt Philbin. This is what it says. The Rutgers basketball story continues to transfix the media. Now, this was put out, by the way, on April 9th. The Rutgers basketball story continues to transfix the media. And why shouldn't it? Mike Rice, the disgraced former Rutgers basketball coach, allegedly killed women and at least 7 viable born-alive babies by plunging scissors into their spinal cords in his filthy House of Horrors abortion clinic. Oh, wait, my mistake. Rice was fired last week from Rutgers over video of him shoving, kicking, and yelling at his players, throwing basketballs at them, and most damning, using homophobic slurs. That's made Rice the most notorious villain in America. And in 1 week, it earned him 36 network stories, clocking in at 41 minutes, 21 seconds of airtime on ABC, CBS, and NBC. So I am just speechless at that. So Rice gets 41 minutes and 26 seconds of airtime. And how much does Gosnell get? The Gosnell trial get? We're going to find out in just a moment. But the fact that Rice is now the biggest villain in America, that just shows just the utter darkness of our hearts, that we are so blind and so numb to this kind of massacre. What are you going to call it? It was a massacre. A massacre of unborn human beings. Babies, not fetuses, humans. And yet, the Rutgers basketball coach is considered the most notorious villain in America. So let's look at the network breakdown of coverage here. Okay, ABC, Rutgers, 8 minutes, 1 second. How much do you think Gosnell got? How much do you think he got? 0 minutes, 0 seconds. All right, well, at least there's CBS and NBC. Let's